Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight on episode 23, season 5 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live Wednesday on Facebook throughout the season. Evening, Richie. Well, the Warriors ended their losing streak, and with the help of a few other teams, their finals hopes, while slim, is still alive. How are you? Welcome to a late starting date. And how was your weekend?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks, Brad. Yeah, this one's going to eat into my bedtime, mate, but we do what we have to do to make sure you're on. We need you on the show. Weekend was good. Yeah, good to be back in the winner's circle from a WAS point of view. So that's good. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously started with that Warriors win on the Friday, and then I went to my little nephew's first birthday party. So I
Nice.
caught up with the family in what feels like forever since it's Warriors season, and I kind of don't see anyone. But yeah, it was good. Good to catch up with everybody. But while we're here live on Wednesday evenings, normally at 8 p.m., tonight 8:30 for a special. You can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio or Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of the round 21 matches. We'll then stop and answer some questions from you guys, as well as questions we're prepared for each other. We'll then preview round 22 and discuss who we're picking, and then do a quick recap of the Super League. And yeah, it is later, so we'll try to go a bit quicker than normal tonight, as I'm sure Paul's laughing in the background. But yeah, remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump straight into the stories.
Yeah, let's go.
I tried to condense them down, but there's quite a few probably important ones we should talk about. But the big one, just after the show last week, as is always the case, it was announced that Australia is going to host the 2026 Rugby League World Cup, with several games to be played in PNG. I knew we were going to have a short show tonight, so I didn't do a big breakdown. But essentially, men's, women's, and wheelchair, like we saw up north, all in Australia. But good idea. You happy with it?
Yeah, it's good. Homelands of rugby league, so hopefully it's well supported. I'm sure in Papua New Guinea it will be well supported. But yeah, just looking forward to hopefully a good spectacle.
Yeah, and Paul.
Well, you just always keep saying about having an NRL team there that the safety is going to be an issue. So it'll be interesting to see about how many fans go over there and and any safety issues to the fans. Let's hope there's not any. But it's something you guys keep bringing up.
Yeah, I don't know how many will travel to PNG to watch as fans. I think it'll be mostly the Papua New Guineans filling it out, and they'll fill out every game regardless of who's playing. They love it to bits. And yeah, Simon said there's only 10 teams. That's right, only 10 teams playing, and it's going to be a flop in Australia. They've never been interested in the World Cup. It will work in Papua New Guinea. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm always into it. I like watching internationals. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I heard rumors that 2030, they want it to be in New Zealand. So we'll see if that actually happens or not. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've still got a couple of years to wait. So we'll see what happens. But one of the big conversations this week, mate, the Tigers have confirmed that Stefano Utoikamanu will depart the club at the end of the season. Still no announcement on where he's going, but Bulldogs are the heavy favourites as of news today, and closely followed by the Storm. Apparently, Stefano would really like to play under Bellamy, but his missus doesn't want to leave Sydney. So it sounds like it's going to probably be the Bulldogs, which I got to watch him up close and personal this week, obviously with the Tigers playing, and I know a lot of people are saying, he's struggling because he's in a crap team, but how many times have the Warriors been a crap team and there's always been one player that just plays far too good? And it felt like he's more like them. He's got a hell of a lot of potential, but I think at his price point, admittedly, he's taking less money apparently. But yeah, I I think it should do good for him, but it's one of those things. The spotlight's going to be on him now. So if he goes to the Doggies or he goes to the Storm, people are going to be watching him and expect him to, be in the Origin teams and everything like he demanded in his contract with the Tigers.
I think if the price point's good and he ends up in most systems are better than what the Tigers have going. That'll be good for him. I look at it the other way. We saw how good someone like Isaiah Papali'i was at the Eels, and then the moment he went to the Tigers, how I'm not saying he's terrible, but definitely not the same level he was there, where he was Dally M second row of the year.
Yeah,
I think if he ends up at a Storm, he'll do really well.
It just sounds like he's going to have to divorce his missus to go to the Storm.
Yeah, or even the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, they have a good thing going right now as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he'll look better, but I don't know if he's gonna. I don't have faith in him becoming like a big star. Like I think Jacko mentioned, like questioning is he really that good because Haas played well when the Broncos were going awful. That's the type of player I mean. Like when the Warriors have been playing bad this year, Adam Fanua-Blake 9 times out of 10 was a monster. Where you're not seeing that out of Stefano, and Stefano's asking for paying Haas Adam Fanua-Blake money.
Yeah, no, he's not worth that.
He's not worth it, but yeah, I'm sure he'll get better, but I don't know if he'll ever become one of the big boppers that everyone talks about. Like, I don't know if he'll ever be in that conversation, but wish him well. And I think Bjorn said glad that the Tigers finally can officially move on from him. Sad for them to lose him, but now they can look for a replacement. Yeah, I think it's when this is will they, won't they stuff, it'd be stressful for all camps, but yeah, they can draw a line in the sand now and try to lure someone there, I guess. They seem to get a lot of that's like the very last news topic, but
okay, I'll leave it there.
He's not. I don't know if he's going to be their new prop mate, but
no.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the Tigers, but we'll get into Warriors news. The Warriors have become the first club in NRL history to sell out every home game in a season. I've got one of the stats here. They got 20 of the last 25 home games have been sold out in the past 2 years. I know there's a lot of people complaining about it, saying like they watch it at home on TV and see a lot of empty seats and some of that's memberships if people decide not to go, or as you know, mate, the north end of the stadium, heaps of people stand there and watch it instead of going and sitting in their seats.
Yep.
They get to stand behind the goalpost, the beer truck's right there.
Yeah.
So there's lots of other answers there, but I think it's fantastic news for them. And you got anything there, Paul?
I was going to say, time to have some ground tickets where you don't actually get a seat. You can only mill around at the back there. That'll be you're going to get another 100, 200 people in.
Or just be a season ticket holder like myself, and then you always have a seat.
No, but you see, people actually don't want to sit in their seats. There's a demand for ground tickets. Sell them, and then let people who want to have the seats have them. Yeah,
true. But yeah, and like Simon said, it's a brilliant achievement for the club. There's a lot of Australian fans for years have been whinging about what to do with bringing the Warriors in. But yeah, it's great. And I was really worried that like these last 3 or 4 games, it'll be back to the 10,000 crowd because they're not doing that well. But yeah, they're still filling it up, and it makes the atmosphere really enjoyable. I know that's something my partner has got into. She wasn't really that keen going to the games when there was 3 of us there. So yeah, when you got a big crowd, it's great. So yeah, congrats to them for that. And yeah, hopefully they remember us season ticket holders and they don't try to spike the price too much this year. We have to buy our tickets again soon in the next couple of months. So hopefully they don't stick it to us too deeply. Ball on a budget here. We'll do some Vegas chat, mate, unless you want to add anything else.
No, move on, mate.
The NRL's finalized a deal with Fox in the US, and the Raiders-Warriors game will be broadcast free to air, which it's a great way to try to get some Americans to watch.
Yep.
We'll see how that benefits in the long term, I guess, but it's a good achievement for them to be able to get it on free to air. And the Daily Telegraph is also reporting that the NRL is really trying hard to get former NFL star Tom Brady to commentate on the Raiders-Warriors match. He's about to start a massive media deal with Fox. It's like a 7-year deal worth like $400-500 million. What do you think, Richie, about getting Tom Brady to watch it? Personally, I'm a Giants fan and I hate Tom Brady with a passion, so I would rather not listen to him. But he's a name, I guess, for New Zealanders and Australians that you understand if you don't follow American football. You kind of know of the name Tom Brady. But
yeah,
watching the Olympics at the moment, I'd rather than get Snoop Dogg, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think I'd rather listen to someone who actually knew something about the game. Talk about the game they're watching. Yeah, it'll be a tough listen, but yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, Simon said he ended up liking Tom Brady, watching him on the Apple Plus documentary series of the Patriots. No, I can't do it. Can't do it. He did give me 2 Super Bowls, choking against the Giants, going off on a segue there. So I'll give him that. But yeah, I guess it might intrigue some Yanks to tune into this free era of Tom Brady's on.
That's the point, isn't it? That's the point. Not for us.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Could be interesting. He couldn't be any worse than Blocker Roach, I guess.
No, that's true.
And yeah, Jack said it's all circus type hype. How the field isn't even the right size, but folks seem to love it. It's all about it's all the hype and hullabaloo. It's exciting, I guess. Now that we're actually involved in it, that excitement's out of it more for me, bizarrely enough, because all I care about is we beat Simon's Raiders in that game in Vegas. I could care less where they play it as long as we win. But that's a long time away. So we'll move on to more Australia, New Zealand central news now, mate. Trent Barrett's been rumoured to have met with the Broncos to join them as an assistant coach next season. Don't think it's a bad option. We mentioned it, and I know Jacko mentioned it last week, that Barrett is a pretty decent assistant.
He's a better assistant than he is a head coach, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm sure at the moment with how the Broncos are going, I'm sure they're going to probably want to bring some extra help in anyway. So we might have news on that later on in the season. There's also been noise out of the Cowboys that they've told Valentine Holmes that he's free to negotiate with rival clubs. The Dragons, as is always the case nowadays, are interested, with Flanagan trying to get as many people as he can. He's also got a relationship with Holmes from the Sharks days.
It's good.
If the Cowboys don't want him anymore, I think he'd be a hell of a good replacement for the Dragons. Can goal kick.
Yep.
I forgot to add that in, so we'll put that now. Unless you got anything else to add.
No, we'll talk about it. Talk about Jazz.
Yeah. So I forgot to add it into the notes. I had a list of them on a notepad in my car. Jazz announced on a podcast today that the Warriors will not be extending him, so this will be his last year at the club, and he is in the process of talking to some other NRL clubs. Disappointing. I get it. He's been used as a middle or like a prop now, and he's a bit too small. Gives everything 100%. I would have loved to have seen him stay along, but I understand the club's mindset as well. I guess it depends on who they get or who they upgrade from within.
Yeah, I would love to have seen Jazz stay and be a one club man, just because of you can tell he's the type of guy that loves the club and bleeds the colours. And watching clips from that podcast, you get the vibe that he doesn't want to go. But it's it's out of his control. You understand from the club point of view too, if you want to keep guys like Leka Halasima, Zayamau, and Dimitri Sifikula, who they're going to be the future. It's just salary cap management.
Yeah, exactly. And it's you can't keep everyone in. The last I know, like Warriors fans, and that we'll complain, go, oh, why'd you let him go? It's the common thing, right? But there is a chance you keep Jazz and then you do lose like a Leka or someone because they're not getting in there. And Jacko said Jazz to Tigers maybe. Man, I'd love to see him at the Tigers. They're my little team I like to support on the side. And yeah, I think he could do good things there. He'll give them a hell of a lot more effort than Stefano has been, that's for sure. So yeah, that could be a good move for him. I'm sure there'll be plenty of teams that will pick him up because of just the character he is. He's, gives it 100%, isn't ever going to take a back step. And yeah, good luck for him for where he ends up. And hopefully we can try to end this season with him on a more positive note.
Yeah.
So we'll get back on unless you want to add anything out about Jazz.
No, all good, man.
All right. We'll go back to Dragons. They might be bringing Holmes in, but they've also apparently granted Jack Bird permission to test his value on the open market. So not necessarily going to let him go, but maybe bring him back to earth with maybe what his expectations on price are, which is generally the ploy here. Don't mind that. He's kind of been playing reserve grade for most of this year anyway, I think.
Yeah, and he's got hit with a lot of injuries. With for a good portion of his career too. So probably not the silliest move.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll get news on that in the next few weeks. Another interesting one out of the Warriors camp, mate. Former Warrior and former All Black Nani Laumapi has said that he's interested in a return to the Warriors, being quoted as saying, hopefully my agent can get some stuff sorted. I'd like to come back. The reason I say it's interesting, it kind of comes out of left field, but that picture and that quote were shared around by the Warriors themselves.
Yeah.
Which makes it more interesting. If it was him saying it in passing in the media talk about it, but an actual club to say it, it's interesting. I'm on the camp of I don't want to see him back. I wouldn't say no, but I feel like the backs they've got, I guess it all depends on what they're going to decide. If he comes back and is playing in 2025, what are they doing with Roger? If Roger's still going to be a center, you've got Rocco, you've got Pompey, you've got Ali, you've got Moala, all those guys there already, and then you throw a Nani in. Jacko said he's too old, surely it's just usual media BS. I would normally say that, but it was the Warriors that shared it.
Yeah.
The Warriors did the picture and everything. So it wasn't just like a stuff or a herald. And yeah, he's 31.
I was going to say, I wouldn't say it's too old, really. He's still got a few years left in him. And,
yeah, I just
my only question would be price, because he should be able to demand a really good salary in either France or Japan from the union.
He was just in Japan, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So he was playing for Kobe Steelers. He's played for Stade Francais before that. So look, he's got some connections and experience of both of those. Maybe he just wants to be at home. Maybe he wants to be back in New Zealand. If he wants to come back to New Zealand, let's be honest, he'll get more money at the Warriors, I think, than he would do at any of the super franchises.
I think that's what's happening. And like Jacko said, he is 31. Likes of Moala, Graham Talfa would leave. See, I'd rather keep your Alis and your Moalas where you can get another 5, 6, 7 seasons out of them compared to bringing a 31-year-old back that you might get 2 or 3. And in my eyes, Anani isn't going to win you a premiership just because he's there, right? I feel like you could use that. It'd be bigger money on another forward or something like another prop if you were going to go and spend.
Yeah, this one for me, I would have been a lot more interested had this come about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
we needed centers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I just thought we better mention it since the Warriors are the ones promoting this news. So we'll get into the stuff that I heard today. So Blaise Talangi has informed the Eels that he'll be leaving at the end of the season. The Panthers are rumored to be the club he's heading to. I did hear some non-official rumors that apparently in a discussion with Ivan, he was basically told if you come to the Panthers, you've got Jerome's old jersey.
Yeah.
Which I could understand why you'd say no to the Eels to that. I know there's been a lot of criticism at him for like leaving early, like he's just started and he's already like on the move. But if that is what he's been told, that's an
Why would you say
opportunity
no?
not many people that would say no to. Yeah,
You wouldn't say no to that. Play next to Cleary.
yeah, and the Eels, on top of that, the Eels are rumored to be targeting Ryan Pappenhausen to come to the Eels to help fill a spot, which if they are able to, like, they lose Blaise and they get Ryan and Ryan can stay healthy, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. Bjorn said, yeah, Panthers need depth. Yeah, it's real interesting now. Like, Panthers have all been like the depth, bringing people up. And now you look this year, they've signed Papali'i from the Tigers. Potentially they signed Blaise from the Eels. They're kind of getting players back into the fold now because we have talked about maybe that next line of talent isn't as ready as we would all expect from the Panthers, because they have been raped and pillaged basically of a lot of their players, with the noise that's coming out in the next bit as well. And Bjorn said weird, he was supposed to be leaving the Eels as he wants to play number one, then go to the Panthers who have Edwards. Yeah, so I think I talked about it last week. The Eels apparently had told Blaise that if he signed with them, like extended with them, he would get the fullback spot at the Eels. And yeah, but pairing up with Cleary and the halves, yeah, I can't see anyone saying no to that.
I think he came up through the juniors playing six most of his time as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure by the time we have our show next week, we'll actually have an official announcement. But yeah, until then, we'll leave it there. And then the last bit before we get into signings and all that, there's been plenty of noise today about Brian To'o and his desire to leave the Panthers. The CEO of the Panthers came out and said that they would not be letting him go, and he's apparently going to have a meeting with them and his agent tomorrow about what the hell's going on with all this stuff. He's contracted until 2027, but we know how contracts work in the NRL. So he could be gone as early as this year. If you watch 360 and all that, the train of thought is going that, you know, he's just been in Origin camp and you'll talk, and apparently he feels a bit undervalued compared to what some of his mates are getting. My argument to that is he got given a price and signed on the dotted line, so it was okay for him at that point. He's a winger as well, where wingers don't normally get your giant deals. That's why every winger calls himself a fullback, to try to get that fullback money.
I would pay him a lot of money, though.
You would, but do the Panthers need to? You know,
no.
Can the Panthers find another winger? Admittedly, they've just lost to Ruva. But
I think he's a pretty important piece of the puzzle for them.
Yeah, but I think they said, I was listening to 360, I think they said in the Panthers roster, he's the 8th highest player. So there's 7 players above him in the pecking order in terms of his salary. I was trying to think of who's there. It'd be Cleary and Isaiah Yeo.
Yep.
I suppose James Fisher-Harris, because he's there right now. But James Fisher-Harris is even coming here on not that big money, but not crazy money. He's costing us less than Adam Fanua-Blake.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Brian To'o could end up with his best friend and be at the Tigers, and the Tigers could have Taruva and To'o on their wings. You never know. Or in the forwards, like you said, Matt. He could be their new Stefano.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure there'll be no more for us to talk about next week on that. So we'll move on the signings, just 3 extensions, mate. Got Daniel Tupou, the guy that is always discussed about leaving the Roosters. He signed another extension till the end of 2026. Kale Iro has signed extension till 2026 with the Sharks. And then Tanela Paseka from the Seagulls is extended until the end of 2029. So
Wow.
nothing like real surprising out of that. It's, I guess, Tupou is just the only one because they're always talking about moving him on so they can bring some other wingers up. But happy with all those signings, mate?
Yeah, I mean, he still goes so well, though, doesn't he? He's kind of ageless. He's been doing it for over 10 years now, and he's never really dipped. If anything, he's better now. And that length of that deal on Pasek is a big one. They're chucking a lot of stock in him.
Yeah, definitely. So I know Paul keeps bringing up the stop fat thing, Vaughn. We're going a long time here now because we're going into injuries, and there were a lot. I think I'll just rattle them off and then we'll discuss them.
Yeah, rattle them
in
off.
Total, mate. So Alex Johnson from the Rabbits, he has a ruptured Achilles, season ending, and it's about 5 to 8 months recovery time. Cody Walker, also from the Rabbits, had a calf strain. He's going for scans. I didn't get to see an update today to see if we've got a lead time or if has he been named this week? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
I don't know either, but I didn't get to update that one. James Fisher-Harris from the Panthers did his groin. He's going to be out for 1 to 3 weeks. Thankfully, I was worried it was going to be a massive one that misses Warriors time. But Jason Tamalolo from the Cowboys, suspected fractured cheekbone, 3 to 5 weeks. Stephen Crichton from the Bulldogs, a pinched nerve is TBA. I think he has been named this week. Stafford Toa from the Tigers is out for a few weeks with a hamstring. Jackson Ford from the Warriors did his PCL. He's got a sprain there. It's 3 to 4 weeks. And then we've got Dane Laurie from the Panthers, Matt Fagai from the Dragons, and Ruben Cotter from the Cowboys, all 10-day stand-downs due to fouled HIAs. So obviously, Ford's our big one. Johnson is a massive blow. Any other names stick out for you there?
Yeah, I mean, the Alex Johnston and Cody Walker, big blows for the Rabbitohs, especially where they sit on the table. You've got to think that's pretty much almost a line through those guys.
Yeah, and Crichton has been named, so his one's not that big.
Yeah.
And Cody's been named as well. So they were cautious, but they're both back. But Johnson's gone. So yeah, and now we'll move to Naughty Boys, mate. We got 2 boys and 1 girl. Michael Jennings from the Roosters got a grade 2 careless high tackle, a 2-match ban.
Yeah.
Toby Couchman from the Dragons, grade 2 crusher tackle. I think it was 2. I didn't get to see the final vote, but I think it got downgraded to 2. And then Aneta Claudia Nuasala. I always get that name wrong. Broncos. Yeah, Nuasala. Broncos NRLW team. 4-game suspension for throwing a punch. Yeah, she's a scary lady. I don't know if I'd want to get in there. And Jay said, newsflash, girls can brawl like troopers. Yeah, she completely forgot this whole not allowed to punch rule and just went for it. Which I enjoyed to see, to be honest.
She did get a shove, didn't she? Which the Eels girl was just looking after her sister.
Yeah. But full credit. We finally got a punch thrown this season, and we had to wait till the NRLW started.
Yeah.
To see a punch thrown. So it was good to see.
Yeah.
So before we get into the round, I thought we'd do a quick rundown of the NRLW. So the Knights defeated my Roosters 12-10. All goal kicking issues. Sharks defeated the Cowboys 14-0. Eels defeated the Broncos 22-10. Titans defeated the Dragons 18-10. And Raiders defeated the Tigers 32-22. So I didn't get to watch a lot of it, unfortunately, with that party I went to. But yeah, the highlights I saw, it was good. It's good to see them hit the ground running, and looking forward to next year when there's a Warriors team in there, and I can stop 100%. Calling the Roosters my team.
Yeah,
So we'll get into the round now, mate. Starting on Friday, Warriors defeating the Tigers 28-16.
Yeah, 5 tries to 3 for the Warriors. Kurt Capewell, who's become a try scorer the past couple of weeks. Ed Kossi, Ali Leotawa, Adam Fanor-Blake, and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. And for the Tigers, Isaiah Papali'i, Charlie Staines, and Api Coruscant.
And you forgot the 3 out of 5 for Chanel at the tee, and then the 1 from 1 in his penalties, mate. He got
very,
the fix.
very pleased for him. He remembered how to kick.
Yeah, so a bit of a patchy performance from the Warriors here. I've said it in my reviews, and I think I said it on the show last week. The Warriors are down on confidence, and it really showed in this match. Middley, 3 of the back 5 were New South Wales Cup players as well, which didn't help. They are playing the Tigers, though, not making any excuses. Forwards did a lot of the heavy lifting once again, but the halves still struggled to make the most of the momentum. Started to get into the groove as the game developed, I thought, but I had a few moments when the defense went to sleep. Particularly, I think they're struggling with defense against adversity. So whenever there's like a penalty or a 6 again, it kind of drops their head just for a little second. But yeah, season's still alive. They just need to improve on a lot, really, if they want to keep these wins coming. And the return of a few of their injured stars, which has already started, should help with that. Your thoughts on the Warriors?
I agree with you completely, Brad, about defending our mistakes. It's something we haven't done as well this year. We were at a much higher level with that last year, but I think Webby summed it up well in the presser. I think we've played better games in recent weeks and ended up losing. It wasn't always flash, but we were good enough to dispatch the Tigers, and that's what that matters most. There were some great shifts, though, from Adam, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, and Dallin. So, yeah, a few of our big guns produced big shifts, and it was enough to get us over the line.
Yeah, before I ask you about the Tigers, I just want to bring up Bjorn's comment. He said seeing CHT with a big smile before and after kicking that goal was excellent. Best part of the game for me. Yeah, I thought it was great that the whole stadium erupted like he'd won the game, getting that one conversion. And it seemed to loosen him up a bit, which was great. Missing those first 2 would have been like hitting him mentally, I think. But yeah, it was great. But your thoughts on the Tigers?
I thought it was a performance true to their form this year. They just aren't a disciplined enough team to win games, whether it's errors, poor defense, conceding penalties. They didn't have a sin bin this week. We joked about it last week, but
they only didn't get it because it was us. There was a few things there that if it was against someone else, they would have been sin binned.
Exactly right. Missing touch from penalty kicks, which we saw this game. This team just has too many coach killer moments in them. They can't really put together an 80-minute performance, and it shows in their results.
Yeah, they started slow here and just made poor defensive choices. To their credit, though, they didn't drop their heads, and they did look better in the second half, scoring some nice tries. But that start killed them, and then when they got into the contest, their hands let them down. And another tough loss for them as they count down the end of the season. Really disappointing. I expected more from them attacking-wise with what we saw last week. But yeah, your player to stand out, I know Paul said Adam Fanor-Blake and Api Coruscant topped with 67 points each. Who'd you go with?
Both of those guys were very good as well. I went Roger, though. I thought...
Just watching the highlights, mate. You've got to stop watching the highlights.
No,
watch the whole game.
I did watch the whole game, mate. That's why I picked him. See, he doesn't really have the... he's not a link man like Chance can be. Our ball playing suffers a bit when he's at fullback, but he's everywhere else is fantastic. The ball running, the touches, the meters. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak's try came off the back of one of Arteta's big line breaks. Couple of try savers thrown in there too, so I thought it was a good all-round shift from Roger.
Yeah, before I give mine, the correct answer, I'll just do a bit of inside baseball about it. During the game, I was not in a good mood. Texting you and Ruin Hammer, I was very harsh on the Warriors and the crap they were putting on. And I was commenting about I still want Chance at fullback because I feel like he has more urgency behind the goal line for like the loose balls and that. And then 2-3 minutes after I sent that message about the loose balls, they do that grubber. He kicks it, he scoops it up, runs 50 meters, and then all I had to do was reply back and go, "Okay, Chance doesn't do that." So I give him credit, but yeah, he was great. But I went with Adam Fanua Black. I picked RTS last week over Adam. I couldn't do it this week. He was a monster out there. It looks like he wasn't even trying. And just he was carrying Tigers. Left, right, and center. So I couldn't argue with either Roger or Adam. But yeah, I'm happy that you picked the other one I was flipping the coin on. So yeah, great game to get the win. Hopefully we see improvements, especially with a lot of those players we're going to talk about later that are back. So we'll move on to the next game. The Storm defeating the Eels 32-14.
5 tries to 3 for the Storm. Grant Anderson, Harry Grant, Will Warbrick, Tyrone Wishart, Ryan Pappenhausen. For the Eels, Jake Tungor, Sean Russell had 2.
Yeah, the Storm made just as many errors as the Eels, but they were just more lethal with their attack. They utilized the second phase well with plenty of offloads. They will want to reduce the penalties and errors in the future. But it was a solid hit out, and also good to see Cam Munster come back and get through without complications, which will make them more dangerous come finals time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. It's good to see him make a return. It's crazy he's missed a massive chunk of the year, but the Storm haven't seemed to have missed him. You know, Wishart's come in and done a very good job in his absence, but in this game, I thought it was very patchy from the Storm initially. They made plenty of errors and looked vulnerable early on, but as they have done, and they continue to do all year, they find their groove, and even when they're not at their best, find a way to win.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Eels?
Yeah, I thought they started really well, and aside from conceding a couple of tries against the run of play, I felt like they almost had the better run of the first half. Unfortunately, it feels like losing has become a bit of a habit for them this year. And again, this week, defensively, some questions there. And after a bright start, they end up losing quite comfortably.
Yeah, and yeah, Paul's mentioned there was that sin bin just before halftime for the Eels, which didn't help them. But yeah, the Eels had more possession in this game and a better completion rate despite making the 13 errors. Just like I said with the Storm, they made 13 as well. But there's no point having more ball if you struggle to do much with it, which is what we saw here. I feel like cheating by saying this every week, but without Moses, the Eels just lack any real attacking threat. Could steal the wooden spoon off the Tigers if they don't stand up and find some fight. But they also are one hell of a banana peel game for the Warriors this week.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really want to sit here next week saying, "Oh, the Eels, they finally broke that losing pattern and they beat the Warriors." It'll break my heart.
Oh yeah.
I think we picked the same player in this game to stand out.
Yeah, there was a few guys, but I went Warbrick. It looks like he was one of the guys at top fantasy as well, according to Paul.
Yeah. Him and Bryce Cartwright both got 70. I think Will Warbrick got like 4 or 5 line breaks on his own.
Yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah. So yeah, I went with him too. He's really finding his feet there. So great to see for him. And we'll move on to probably the big game. 4 line breaks, Paul said. The big surprise. It's kind of here where I realized my tips weren't going to work in my favor. Bulldogs defeating the Broncos 41-16.
I enjoyed this one. 7 tries to 3 for the Dogs. Bronson Sherry, Connor Tracy had 3. Jarrell Skelton, Viliami Kakao, and Jacob Carraz. For the Broncos, Reece Walsh, Katoni Staggs, and Marty Tapau.
Yeah, wow, I didn't expect this from the Doggies. Paul has discussed how they don't like playing away from home, so I'm throwing Paul under the bus now. But it didn't affect them here. They thought that Suncorp was their home ground, and they put on a hell of a show. They've been praised a lot this year about their defense, but they showed plenty of skill with the ball in hand, making 11 line breaks in this game. Very impressive, and if they can deliver more performances like this, a top 4 finish may not be out of their reach. Your thoughts on the Doggies?
Probably their best performance of the year. They brought their trademark strong defense, which has been great all year, but this week the attack came to the party in a big way. They looked really effective shifting the ball, and they had the Broncos defense under duress the whole game. It's a real warning shot to the rest of the competition, that performance. I think a lot of people would tip the Broncos. You and I both tip the Broncos. It's a real statement game. Yeah.
And your thought on the Broncos?
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. Possibly, they got a decent win against the Knights last week, so possibly a bit of complacency, thinking at home they just needed to turn up, but just nowhere near the benchmark they set for themselves last year. They weren't attacking effectively, and on the other side of the ball, they were just all at sea. Long may it continue.
I just want to remind Paul, the reason you pay Richard all this big money is because he's meant to know what's going on. So maybe cut his paycheck this week. For me, though, shocking effort from the Broncos here. The season was on the line, and they're at home, and they just didn't show up. Attack was one-dimensional. Their defense was in tatters. Still have a chance to make the 8, but only if they use this performance as a wake-up call. And Bjorn and Paul said it was the second away win of the season. Hopefully it's their last, because they're coming to Auckland in a couple of weeks. But yeah, and Bjorn said Kevin's now realizing he can't rely on players' natural talent to win games and needs to step up. Not that Brisbane Old Boys would admit it. Yeah, and he said something stupid during the week about how that Origin's is probably affecting his team. It's like he is one of the only coaches that rested, all except for one, rested his guys after Origin. So he can't use that excuse when they had a week off. And then he had everyone back. Yeah. So I don't know. He's just trying to make excuses that aren't valid. I'd be really disappointed as a Broncos fan. They needed this win, and they had it all in their favor, and they just, they weren't trying. And Paul said Connor Tracy topped the fantasy points. I went with Connor Tracy. Did you pick him as well, or?
Very hard to not pick him. His stat line in this game was
it's crazy.
Yeah.
He was doing everything.
Three tries. I think he had 3 try assists, multiple line break assists. Off the charts. Yeah,
it was probably his best game as a Bulldog. But he hasn't had to have a lot of them. But yeah, fantastic, and a real good attacking threat. We'll move on to the next game. Another surprise for me. I started shitting the bed when it came to my tips. Cowboys defeated the Sharks 30-22.
Yep, 5 tries to 4 for the Cowboys. Murray Taolangi, Jeremiah Nanai, and 3 tries for Kyle Felt. For the Sharks, Ronaldo Mulitalo, Kale Iro, Braden Trindle, and Daniel Atkinson.
Yeah, Cowboys just had better attack here. Made 11 line breaks and just made the most of the opportunities. The forwards are solid, especially Griffin Neem off the bench, who got 177 meters, which is a decent tally off the bench. One of the slept-on teams in the finals contention right now. No one's really talking about them, and usually when they are, it's not that great. But it appears to be working for them, kind of going under the radar. Still need to improve their defense, though, as going try for try is not the way to progress deep in the finals. But it was a nice win for North Queensland nonetheless. Your thoughts on the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think they've come a long way. They appeared to have a fair few issues earlier in the year. Well, they started the year really strongly, and then with a few wins, and then really went off the boil. But I think they've gone a long way to fixing that. And and now they're sitting quite well for a top 8 finish. They actually have a really good shot of jagging a top 4 spot when you look at their run home. Yeah. And yeah, I thought it was a great performance from Kyle Feldt as well. Like Paul said, he had 4 line breaks, had the hat trick. Still going strong at his age.
Yeah, the evergreen.
Yeah.
And your thought on the Sharks?
They just don't seem the same team they were at the start of the year when they looked like a real contender. They're still placed well, but they're looking far more vulnerable, and now have to do without one of their straight weapons, Mulitalo, for about a month or so. So, edgy times for the Sharks.
I forgot to add him into the injury list.
Oh, you did too.
Yeah, my bad.
Right.
Yeah, Sharks are in this match from the start, but just lack that extra bit of attacking spark to outrun the Cowboys in the final stages. Did put together some nice attacking phases and had some good kicks. I think Trindle even got a 40-20 in this game, but they need to tighten that defense up, or they're going to risk slipping down the ladder if they're not careful. But yeah, I think they could have got jagged this if they still had Ronaldo out there potentially. And yeah, Paul said Cowboys are 7 wins from their last 9, and the Sharks have 4 losses in their last 5. And all the losses are by single figures.
Yeah.
You talked about him already. But yeah, I went with Kyle Feldt as my player of the game. As you said, a hat trick, 4 line breaks, all doing it at the ripe old age of 50 something. Just a fantastic player. He's had a real good year this year. And he led to fantasy points because there were all the talks about them kind of putting him out to pasture. But yeah, he's definitely said he wants to keep playing. So full credit to him.
Yep.
Next game, Roosters defeating Manly 34-30.
Yeah, crazy old game this one. 6 tries to 5 for the Roosters. Joseph Suali'i, James Tedesco, Luke Keary, Dommy Young, Victor Radley, and Michael Jennings for Manly. Luke Brooks, Tuafafua Sipley, Tommy Talau, Clayton Folalo. That's a mouthful, that one, even for me. Dally Cherry Evans. The Clayton Fualo came on as 18th man, and he was actually really good when he came on.
Yeah, the Roosters had a great first half and looked set to rack up a big score, but they were complacent, I thought, in the second half and just started making silly mistakes. Had a tense final 10 minutes with Manly going on a bit of a run. But the Roosters will be happy to nail the 2 points, but will want to deliver an 80-minute performance this week.
Yeah, fantastic start from the Roosters. 4 tries in the first 20 minutes. It was giving me flashbacks of when the Warriors played them earlier in the year.
Yeah.
They'll need to watch their accuracy as they gifted 3 tries to Manly through intercepts, which made this far closer than it needed to be after the start they had.
Yeah, and your thought on Manly?
Big credit to Manly for not dropping their heads after the start. They picked up a try to Luke Brooks to slow the Roosters' momentum, and then a try to Sipley just before halftime kept them believing, and then 3 second-half intercepts forced a frantic finish, which could have ended in an unlikely win, but not quite to be for Manly.
Yeah, and Paul's just put up that stat, 4-0 in intercepts to Manly over the Roosters. But yeah, Manly were under some pressure in that first half and struggled with the injuries to Garrick and Saab, which saw the Warriors reshuffle of a backline during the game. But they did start to find their groove in that second half and almost stole the win, but it was too little too late. May have been a different story if Tommy Turbo could have had a bigger impact on the game. But the NRL is filled of what ifs, and that's just the way the cookie crumbled for them, unfortunately. Another team with another game that they let slip, potentially that could cost them finals, or a top 4 spot even, I think, with how Manly were going. But
yeah,
who'd you pick for your player of the game?
I had to go with Teddy. I think he had another big one in this game. He looked really deadly, especially in that first half.
Yeah, I went with Teddy as well. Thought he looked really good in that first half. he was one of the ones that kind of dialed it back a bit in that second half. But yeah, thought it's been a great season for him when I basically wrote him off in my predictions this year.
Yeah.
Paul said DCE top the points with James Tedesco, top for the Roosters with 62. So we'll get into the final stretch, mate. Sunday. Panthers defeating the Dragons 46-10.
8 tries to 2 for the Panthers. Casey McLean, Liam Martin, Nathan Cleary had 3. Scotty Sorensen, Lindsay Smith, and Trent Tolau for the Dragons. Christian Tuipulotu and Jaden Sua.
Another typical performance from the Panthers here. They're born for this time of year. Could have been in trouble with the early exit of James Fisher-Harris and Dane Laurie, but it didn't slow them down. Cleary was at his unstoppable best, and the rest of the team just followed suit. Very scary team right now. Yeah, very impressed, but we kind of always have this with the Panthers, right?
Yeah,
at this time of year.
It's the same thing, yeah. Well, they avenged their loss to the Dragons earlier in the year in a big way. Like you say, once the season hits this part of the season, they're just scary. It seems like Cleary tends to get injured and then comes back later in the year all fresh and rearing to go.
Mate, I told you last week, my conspiracy, he has never got injured. They just rest him. Go,
Yeah.
we don't need you. We'll wait till we really need you, then we'll bring you back.
Yeah, and it's like they do that. They dial up the levels the longer the season goes on. But yeah, Cleary's now well rested and ready to launch an assault on the end of the year. And yeah, tough to pick against them. You got to think they're odds-on favourite to go 4 in a row.
They have to be. And your thoughts on the Dragons?
Yeah, rough game. This one for the Dragons. Not a lot going right. Defensively, not great. Ball handling, not great. Multiple kicks out on the full. Just not their night.
Yeah, I'm a bit more harsh on them, I guess, as is always the way. Dragons never stood a chance. It was boys versus men. They struggled to defend, struggled to attack. You name it, it went wrong. Tough night of the office for Flanagan, and it's going to be interesting to see how he gets this side to bounce back. And Paul said Nathan Cleary top fantasy with a massive 112, which bounce
back when they got the Storm up next. I mean, geez,
easy win. Yeah, Nathan Cleary bloody getting 112 cost me a really important win in my fantasy league because I didn't have him. I have him now. I threw away all my players so I could get him. But yeah, we talked about it. It was hard to not pick him, right, as our player.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hat trick, 7 from 8 at the kicking tee. You name it, he did it.
Yeah.
So we'll move on, mate. Another upset. The Titans defeating the Dolphins 21-14.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't burn my joker this round. Sorry, Brad. 4 tries to 2 for the Titans. Brian Kelly, Lofikan Pereira, and Cleese Haas. For the Dolphins, Tavita Pangai Jr., Jesse Bromwich.
What a game from the Titans. They did not look that great in the first half, but they did enough to stay within reach. And then after a hell of a blow-up from Dez and the Shets, they came out ready to play. They used their pace to create scoring opportunities and had some monster efforts from their pack, including David Fafita. Fantastic effort, and I said it a while ago, and I'm going to repeat it here again. I don't see them making finals, but I see them ending a lot of other teams' dreams of getting there along the way. This could have been the death blow to the Dolphins potentially. This loss here. But your thoughts on the Titans?
It's good for the Warriors.
Very good.
Yeah. Just when you think they're down and out this year, the Titans will tend to pull out a performance just to remind you that there's a decent footy team in there somewhere. They don't always show it, but they pull it out every now and then. It was a slow start to the game, but in the end, a great win against the top 8 team.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Finns?
I thought they looked really good in the first half, and after they went up a couple tries in the first quarter of an hour, I thought it was going to be a question of by how much they win by. Not sure what happened in the second half, but yeah, big missed chance in the game. They should be winning if they're wanting to be a top 8 team.
Dockers pay again, Paul. That's another I don't know.
I don't know. Goodness me.
What an implosion from the Dolphins. Things were going well for them, and then I've got the answer for you, mate. And then Josh Kerr was sent to the bin, and the whole game changed on its head. And by the time the Dolphins realized they were in a fight, it was too late. Just played too reckless in the second half and need to wake up, otherwise they will drop out of finals contention. I think it was, a lot of people commented, it was maybe one of the only times Wayne Bennett's left the coaching shed before the game finished. I think it was when Hammer and had that drop, he walked out, and they said he doesn't do that normally.
He had Tana Umaga sitting next to him and everything, and he just walked out.
But yeah, very very rough time for them right now. Their season's hanging on a thread. So the fall from grace is just happening just later than we expected, really. Your player to stand out, because I know we went different here.
Yeah, I went Alofi Khan Pereira. Just a strike weapon, so fast. He always tends to score tries and multiples. He's turning into the new Alex Johnston.
Yeah, you can't compete with his pace. And Paul said Fotueka got top, only playing 65 minutes and got 80 points. I was almost tempted to go with him, but I felt like I picked too many fantasy leaders. So I went with Kino Kini. I thought he was really dynamic out the back, and is really showing that he's a first-grade ready player this season. Great to see a Kiwi kid slip through the Warriors' grasp and do well over there. But yeah, thought he was great as well. But yeah, Canberra, you can't beat pace, mate. Bringing us to the last game, the game Simon's been waiting for us to talk about. Raiders defeating the Rabbits 32-12.
Big win. 5 tries to 3 for the Raiders. Jordan Rapana had 2. Xavier Savage, Sebastian Chris, and Ata Mariota for the Raiders. Tane Milne, Cody Walker, Tallis Duncan.
Yeah, I gave the Raiders no shot in this match, and after the first 10 minutes, I knew I'd stuffed up. They were out there giving their all and reaping the rewards. The addition of Fogarty has made that attack so much more dangerous, and their back 5 are making the most of having their halfback back. Going to be a hard team to beat in the final portion of the season. I think they really got themselves into a good mindset now, and it's going to be hard for teams to beat them, I think. Spoilers, I think I picked them to lose this week, so I don't know.
Yeah, but they won't go down without a fight. That's for sure. They're that kind of team. So I think you're right. They might end up being a thorn in the side of a few teams before the year's done. But yeah, great win from the Raiders. They did a lot of damage in the first half and held on for a big win. Since Fogarty's come back, they seem to have returned to the form they had at the start of the year. He's just one of those guys. Controls the team well. Kicking game is elite level. He does wonders for this team.
Yeah, like Simon said, it was great the Raiders had that performance against the Rabbitohs in front of the Australian Prime Minister, who's a Rabbits fan. It takes big balls to be the Prime Minister and turn up as an away visitor in away supporters gear and get booed out of the stadium. Saying that our Prime Minister turned up in his Sunday best and got booed out of Mount Smart a few weeks ago. So, but yeah, your thoughts on, did we get up to the Rabbits? Yeah. So I got distracted by Simon.
Yeah, not a great night for the Rabbitohs. What was I doing? I tipped them to win. In hindsight, that wasn't clever. They never looked in this one, unfortunately, and Chanel Harris-Tavita would have enjoyed watching Damien Cook shoot for goal, would have made him feel a lot better about himself. But yeah, they're just completely outplayed in this one.
Yeah, Rabbits were just in all kinds of trouble. They defended like turnstiles and let the Raiders pile on the points early. Scored back-to-back tries before the break, but couldn't build off it. As you said, Damien Cook had a shocking night at the kicking tee, but it didn't really matter because his team couldn't string attacks together anyway to get him more goal kicking opportunities. This could be the death blow to their season. Yeah, very disappointing. I'm kind of always going against the Raiders in the tips, I think, to try to get past Simon. And it's not working.
This could be the very first. This could be the death. Of course it is. They're 15th in the bloody table. Right?
Hey, we were 14th last week, and I still said we were going to make it. So you've got to give a bit of credit.
Yes, and I'll have some what you were smoking as well, please.
Yeah. Your player to stand out.
Yeah, I went Fogarty's my man crush right now, apparently.
Yeah, he played great. He's been fantastic since he came back. But I went with Hudson Young because I'm sick of picking Fogarty. So I thought Hudson Young, he started this game just like he did against us the week against us. Was it the week before? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a rampager with the ball. And he topped the fantasy with 83. He's been doing really well. He's got better being able to reduce the niggle that he used to always get in trouble for.
He's a beast.
Yeah. And Bjorn said he expected a lot more from the Rabbits, which his tips will show surely, which will lead us into our tips if Paul has our stuff. I'm looking, there's no extra screen, so I think Paul's dropped the ball here. So there we go. Well done, Paul. No pay cut for you tonight. So yeah, I used my Joker, the last one, and it backfired on me. Jeez. I was so confident, and then I got 50%. So Simon is still at the top. He got 6, which him and ACT Hellcat, coincidentally, once again, the Raiders fans, got the high scores of 6. I got 8 because of the Joker, so I was actually on 4. You got 5. Bjorn got 5 as well, so you guys all did better than me there. But yeah, Simon's only got a 1-point lead now because I used my Joker, but I know you've got one up your sleeve, mate.
I've got one left to play.
Yeah. So yeah, he's 1 point ahead of me. I'm 2 points ahead of ACT Hellcat. Rocking Horse Road, who's still got 2 up their sleeve. 1 point behind them. Then you're 1 point behind them. Bjorn, you're all the way down in 8th, mate. Not even in triple digits yet. So it's going to be tight. I think I picked my Joker poorly, and it might cost me, mate.
We'll see.
But yeah, so well done, everyone on the ladder. Might be the first year I don't win this bloody thing. We'll bring up the ladder, though. So I'll give you top 8, mate.
Yeah, I think I went bottom last week anyway. Top 8, Melbourne still in first, Panthers still in second, Roosters have moved up to third, Sharks have dropped to fourth, Bulldogs have climbed back up to fifth, North Queensland up to sixth, Manly dropped to seventh, and the Dolphins have dropped to 8th position.
Yeah, and then the Raiders and Dragons are 9th and 10th, also on 24 points like the Dolphins. Then Newcastle have moved up to 11th, Warriors have moved up to 12, Broncos down to 13, Titans up to 14, Rabbits down to 15, and then we've got the Eels and the Tigers 16th and 17th, 2 points separating them. And Bjorn said he's got 2 Jokers left, so hold tight. Yeah, I'm expecting a big run. But yeah, I think they did. I saw some stat.
The bottom 2 might be 2 points separating them, but the Tigers are still going to buy. They've got 2 points in them. So
I think they play each other in the last round too.
Yep,
I'm pretty sure. So that game should, unless the Eels can nab a win along the way, that will be the wooden spoon decider.
Spoon grand final, yeah.
It'll be So that'll be the biggest game of the round.
Yeah. Well, especially for us because we're not in it, mate. So we've got something to look forward to and watch. I did see. I was going to send it to Paul. I saw a pic when I was scrolling my phone as I was driving home. They had like a percentage of percentage to make the 8, percentage to make the 4, And the only two that have no percent are 16th, 17th. So they've even given the Rabbits a percentage. But to give that idea, we're 12th and we've got a 4% chance of making the 8 on their rating.
You've got to give them percentage while it's still mathematically possible. Whereas the Eels and the Tigers now mathematically have been out for a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone else is mathematically still in it. But
I'm biased, so I still think the Warriors have a chance, and I think the Raiders and Dragons potentially could go up. I think out of the bottom 9, those are the 3 teams I'm picking that have a chance. I'm not saying they're all going to make it, or even if any of them will, but out of just on gut, Raiders, Dragons, Warriors, Broncos are gone, Titans maybe, depending on how they go. And then, I see the bottom 3 of the top 8 are the ones that could potentially fall out. Maybe. Maybe even the Sharks. The Sharks are heading down. It's really hard.
The 2 teams with the worst form in our top 8 are the Sharks with 1 and 3, and the Dolphins with 1 and 3. Everyone else is still got a positive record.
I feel confident. I would put money on the Dolphins not making it. That's probably the only one that I would put money on not making the 8.
They're the ones that look like it, because I mean what are they on now? They've won 1 of their last 5 games, and only 2 of their last 8 games. So they really have fallen off a cliff since they played the Warriors in round 12. Really, they've been in trouble.
Yeah. And do the Dolphins have another Brisbane Derby?
I think they do.
They have got SYD. So that's Roosters, Warriors, Country Bulldogs, Melbourne Storm, Brisbane Broncos, second last game, and then Newcastle Knights as their final game.
Yeah, that's a hell of a run. Like, even if you take the Warriors out of the equation, where I think we'll do them, but Roosters, Broncos, depends what Broncos show up, I guess. I think it's a real tough run for them. But then I just said the Dragons might make it up, and like you said, the Dragons are playing Storm this week. So that might be early ripe, early rotten. They'll still be above us even if we win this week. On 24, we'll only be on 23. So we need Newcastle to lose. So we'll move to questions.
Yeah, the Dragons got the Storm, the Bulldogs at home, which makes a difference. Titans, Sharks, Eels, Raiders. So much easier running there with when you got things like the Eels, so the Bulldogs at home. No questions from the live chat. We've kind of covered everything as we've gone along.
Awesome. We'll go with your question to me first, mate.
Yeah. We're now heading into the juicy end of the season, so with a good sample size of footy to go off, which player for you has been the best signing of the year?
Yeah, this was a great one to get like 5 minutes before I jumped on, when I could check my emails. I had to quickly think, like, who's been playing really well that's just joined a club. I've cheated. I've gone with Stephen Crichton.
That's a good one.
I think the Bulldogs have shown a lot of improvement. He's their leader. I think he's done really well for them. So he was the one off the top of my head. For some reason, I keep thinking Warriors bias and going Mitch Barnett, but it's not his first year, so it doesn't count. I couldn't think of anyone else that's really elevated a team in their first year this year. So I've gone with Crichton. Have you got anyone?
Yeah, I would have said Crichton as well. Just he's come and made a big difference, but also become captain in his first year as well. Seems to have brought some of that winning feeling over from the Panthers. I think most of the Dogs recruits have been really good this year. Curran, Connor Tracy, like Bjorn said.
I think I would have Connor Tracy, Curran. I think you could have named any of them and not been laughed at. So basically Bulldogs. Anyone in the Bulldogs side.
I think I would probably pretty much agree that the Bulldogs are making finals. With the first time they've made the final since 2016.
Yep.
And if you think last year they were 15th, 12th in 22, 2021 they're wooden spoons. I mean, it has been I'd argue that they're in the shouting there for most improved team of the season.
Oh yeah,
they should only be on 24 points since they stole those 2 points off us. But
just let it go.
Changed everything. Would have changed everything. We would have been 11th, and they would have been 8th. My question to you, mate: the Warriors have had to rely on plenty of rookies this season. Looking back, who for you has shown the most promise out of that group of rookies we've seen this year?
I think most of them, when called upon, have done a decent job. I like the look of Jacob Laban. Also, Leka Halasima. I think Halasima has been unfortunate with his time so far. He's sort of come in and then through injuries been thrust into positions where he wouldn't normally play. But I thought in his debut he showed a lot of promise as well. Zion Maiu came in that one game and
game wonder,
played the house down, and then hasn't had a look in since. But yeah, any of those guys I thought have all had their moments. I really like the look of Zion. I know you did too. Just a fan of that type of player. The no handbrakes off the back fence. I just love to see that kind of thing off the bench. So they all show promise, but and like Jacko said, Ali Leatawa, how did I nearly forget him? His hands for Kossi's try were just so smooth on the weekend. And that's just on top of all his physical attributes and running game he brings. So I'll say Ali Leatawa. That's a good call, Jacko.
Bastard, took mine. I was going with Ali as well. All the ones you mentioned, Ali, Leka, Zion, Jacob, Brigham, Moala as well. They're all guys I see being in the 17 in a couple of years. So I don't think there's anyone there that's like a one-hit wonder. Emily, we've only seen Zion once. Leka, the first time we get a chance to see him actually be a forward, and bloody Webby plays him for 9 minutes where he doesn't get to touch the ball. I was doing my rag on the sidelines. I'm sure Webby could see me from across the field.
I was just going to say he hasn't got anywhere near first grade yet, but who Jacko's mentioned there, Toby Crosby, he's another one I'm looking forward to when he eventually sort of makes the way up. He's a Wellington boy, just looks big and strong and fast, looks to have all the attributes you want.
He's the big white kid, right?
That's him.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about him. So he's another one. So the future's bright, which is great. We both went with Ali. So we'll move on, mate, to round 22, starting with the Warriors Eels team. Bit more of a cheerful Tuesday for us, mate, if you want to bring up or go down the Warriors team.
Yep. At fullback, Chance Nickel-Kloster makes his return. The wings, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The centres, the young guys get another run, Ali Leatawa and Moala Graham-Taufa. The halves, Chanel Harris-Tavita and Sean Johnson is named to return. Front row, Adam Fanua, Blake Wade Egan, Mitch Barnett. Back row, Maratini Kokore, Kurt Capewell, Dylan Walker at lock. Interchange, Freddie Lussick, Tom Ale, Jazz Tavanga, and Leka Halasima.
Yeah, and Jacko's reminding you that he's not from Wellington.
He's from Greytown, the mighty whited Upper Bush. You're right, Jacko, but he did move to Upper Hutt, and I think he played a lot of footy for Upper Hutt. So I think he was born and raised in Greytown.
See, you moved to Wellington. I was in blame everyone. I was in
Greytown today. Funnily enough.
So yeah, what's your thoughts on the team? I'm pretty happy with it. It's great to see Chance and Sean back.
Yep, I'm happy to see Sean back. Our kicking game has been lacking. So I'm looking forward to having him back. Chance as well. I see a lot. Whenever Roger plays fullback, there's always a lot of talk about, he should, maybe Roger should be the fullback. But I'm kind of like you, Brad. I just like what he does for everyone around him while still having all those effort plays. And I think Roger can have a big impact from the wing as well.
Yeah, I think he will still have a massive impact on the game from the wing. And Chance, I just like Chance at the fullback. It's just my preference. I'm not going to sit here if it was reversed, I wouldn't sit here ripping into Webby. I can see the valid arguments on both sides, but I'm happy with that team. Eels, though, we got Clinton Gutherson at fullback, Jake Tuggle and Sean Russell on the wings, Will Policini and Blaze Talangi in the centres, Dylan Brown and Dejan Arce in the halves, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Brendan Hands and Wiremu Greg in the front row, Sean Lane, Bryce Cartwright, second row, Ryan Madison lock. Then the interchange, we've got Freddie's brother Joey. So we've got brother versus brother. Joey Lussick at 14, Joe Ofahangawi at 15, Luca Moretti at 16, and Dan Keir at 17. It's not a bad Eels team. It's just, they're just not very good either. It's that little Moses that they're missing. But there's some capable players there that if they get their minds right, they could actually do some damage to the Warriors if they take them too lightly. But I'm going with the Warriors here. I think SJ back. And Bjorn said, I forgot to put in the news, Luke Metcalf's back in New South Wales Cup this week too.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to go a bit early and catch that game, so see how he goes.
Yep. There's enough names on that team sheet for the Eels where it wouldn't surprise me if they show up and give us a scare, but I'm tipping Warriors.
Yep, so we're both going Warriors. We may as well go into the rest of the fixtures, Paul, and Paul can get ready to lose some money. So starting on Thursday, tomorrow night, we've got
Warriors at home. I'm comfortable with that. It's away where there's a problem with the Warriors, but yes, go for it.
So next week when we play the Dolphins and I pick the Warriors again, you're going to go against me. Thursday, we've got Tigers, Cowboys. I've gone with Cowboys. Can't pick the Tigers.
No.
Then Friday, we've both picked the Warriors over the Eels. The second game on Friday, we've got Dolphins, Roosters. I'm going with Roosters.
Yep.
Jacko's on his way out. Cheers, Jacko. See you next week.
Cheers, Jacko.
So we're both going Roosters there?
Yep.
Okay, Titans, Broncos.
Go on. Do it.
I discussed this with myself all day today, and I've gone with the Broncos. I feel like they're going to bounce back from that loss and not want to be embarrassed, so I'm going with them.
Well, and the other three losses they've had in the last 5 games.
Yeah. Bjorn said perfect round for a joker, Richie.
Could be. It could be.
Yeah. I'm going Broncos.
Yeah, me too. I was trying to convince you to go the other way there because I think it would be tight. But
I was close.
I'm not putting that one in. No, I'm going to clue the two of you. My God, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. That's out of the multi. I'm not throwing the money away.
I'm
happy for you to scratch that one. I'm happy for you to scratch that one. That'll be close, I think.
The Titans are 3-1. And the Broncos in the last 5 games, and the Broncos 1-4. Get out!
Come on.
Anyway,
come on.
So yeah, but the TAB does have the Broncos at $1.60 as favourites.
Yeah. Broncos cost me my multi last week. I'll let them cost me my multi this week. It's fine.
Not costing my multi.
Then the next game we've got Storm Dragons. I've gone with Storm.
Me too.
Yeah. Then we've got the Sharks Rabbits. I've gone with Sharks.
Me too.
You have to, but the Sharks' recent form.
The Sharks haven't been good, but neither of the Rabbits. It's really hard.
No, I agree. It's one of those ones of who's going to be the least worst out of these two.
Yeah. Then we've got the Panthers Knights. I've gone with Panthers.
Yep.
And then the last game, this might be more of a strategic pick. Bulldogs Raiders. I've gone Bulldogs. So I know Simon's going Raiders.
I think that's also a form pick. Both teams are on good form, but
they are.
Bulldogs at home.
Bulldogs haven't lost at home all season. They've won every single game.
They lost to the Warriors at home, but
shut up.
Yeah, they were cheated.
They were cheated.
If it was a
good joke around.
Yeah, it should have been a joke around for me. I went too early.
You went up early.
So the multi is only 7 games because I've scratched one.
Okay. We're still going to lose it. And Simon said he's actually tipped the Bulldogs for this round. Oh, you both did. All right.
Change your tip, Brad, quick.
No, I'm not going to change it. I'm sticking with it. So that's the round. Hopefully, it's a better round for me and not a good round for you, even though we basically picked the same. We picked identical, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah, apart from the fact that I'll pull trigger on a Joker more than likely.
Yeah, pull trigger on a Joker and get past me. So quickly, before we let everyone go, we're still not too bad time-wise, Paul, because we started late. We'll go into the Super League quickly. There were some big wins in the Super League, which has seen a new leader, with Warrington now first and Hull KR second, pushing Wigan to third. They're all on 28 points, though, and it's just points differential. Catalans and Salford are 4th and 5th on 24 points. So still a little bit of a gap between the top 3 and the next 2. But then we had Leeds defeat Huddersfield 34-6. Warrington defeated Wigan 40-4.
What happened there?
OKR, yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm doing a Richie. I have no idea what happened. Hull KR defeated London 40-16. Lee defeated St. Helens 46-4. Salford defeated Castleford 30-22. And then Catalans defeated Hull FC 24-16. And this week we've got, and Simon said, remember Warrington, is it their year for Super League? I think they could be the team. Going there was old Sammy Burgess. But yeah, this week we've got Castleford versus Lee, Wigan versus Huddersfield, Warrington versus Hull KR, Hull FC versus St. Helens, Salford versus Leeds, and London versus Catalans. So I don't see London getting their second win of the year next week. Anything else you want to add?
No, not really. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, good.
We were quite timely tonight, even though we started a bit later.
Maybe that's the key, Paul. Paul, do we have to start later to make sure we're more on track? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight and joining us on the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. For your weekly updates on rugby league, tune into our show next week, back at 8 o'clock, here on Facebook or at your convenience on Spotify or iHeartRadio. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Cheers again for joining me, Richie. Cheers for all your help in the background, Paul. And good night, everyone.